مش لوحدك.
So running outside basically, or being outside at this time, is the most risky to be at, or the most dangerous zone that
you want to avoid
be?
the edge of the building. Absolutely. Let's take a look at this.
I heard something, correct me if I'm wrong, I heard that most people die or get killed by an earthquake is outside the building rather than being inside. Is that true?
That's absolutely correct. I have another slide we can watch, which shows what was remaining of a car after the 1989 Loma Prieta quake. That gives you some idea of how the debris shedding off the outside of the building, what it might do to a human being.
Wow, yes.
And furthermore, even in weak buildings like this rescue scene from Haiti quake in January of 2010, the rubble is so deep that the people that are pulled out from those zones that are still alive typically have very, very major injuries. And in Haiti, we saw a lot of, unfortunately, necessary amputations.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So that's a very, very dangerous area of the building. However, in contrast, what we would like to see too is that this is a collapsed building, but if you look closely at it, you'll see a couch there and furniture. You could actually stand up and walk around in there after the shaking was over and still be rescuable, whereas you wouldn't be in that outer zone of the building.
So it's always safer to stay inside, basically. That's the point.
Absolutely. And not to try to move on your feet.
I want to talk about older people now. I mean, they're hard to walk around. They have their walkers with them. How are they being rescued during an earthquake? I mean, what are their likelihood of them being rescued or being safe, basically?
A person with a mobility handicap of any kind may, or age-related problems may not be able to get down to the ground and then reliably get back up again very quickly. It just may not be possible, or it may, in fact, be just too difficult to do in the amount of time that's available. So the basic goals are to improve your body stability as fast as you can, and to provide as much protection to your basically head and neck area. So a person with mobility impairments should try to be seated as quickly as possible if they're not already seated. If they're in a wheelchair, they need to make sure the wheels are locked immediately. The idea then is to protect the head and neck and from all the flying objects. Now, a person may have to grab something in their vicinity. Maybe there's a pillow, maybe there's a jacket, maybe something they're wearing can come up over their head to protect themselves from flying glass. They may have to hold on to the chair with one hand in order to keep from being thrown out of the chair, if they have the capability of
So you
doing
always
that.
want to cover your head, basically, or
Yes,
the back of your neck.
Yes. The brain stem, the top of the spinal column, and you know, by putting yourself face down, you're keeping the glass from flying at your eyes.
Okay. And do you need to get underneath something sturdy, basically, like a
Yes,
desk or
for
something?
those people who can actually do the full drop, cover, and hold on, they definitely want to use cover whenever it's available. Cover can help hold off the kinds of things that are flying and falling. But the other thing is actually that, we'll take a look at this at the screen again here. Even in the worst kind of collapse, where you have not only outer wall failure, but you also have some floor stacking or roof stacking, basically the drop, cover, and hold, the person under the desk there is still rescuable, whereas the person next to them is probably not.
Wow. Okay.
So cover is very, very useful.
How about at home? People tend to run, you know, at home or in a building, for example.
Again, if you run, you're most likely to be just thrown right to the ground. You're likely to be showered with the glass. The glass is going to hit the ground before you get thrown to the ground, and that's how a lot of injuries occur.
Yeah, because, you know, I hear this all the time. Pictures, frames are flying
That's right.
at you. The glass, books are flying basically off of the shelves, and it,
And actually, this is a scary thing, but the acceleration rate in a 7.1 earthquake can be as much as 60 miles per hour in 2.6 seconds.
Wow.
So one of the big things that we were very fortunate about in the Northridge earthquake was that it happened early morning on a holiday, and so most people were not on the freeways, they were not at work or in schools where there was at the time a lot of computer equipment and things that were unsecured. I think there are probably more people in Southern California that have done a little bit more to secure their equipment, but basically a television monitor, a countertop microwave, anything like that, tends to fly in a forward direction regardless of the angle of the shaking. And so if you're sitting right in front of a computer monitor, it is basically, you know, one of the types of fatalities is, you know, basically head through the screen.
Wow.
And so that the importance of getting low fast, it just can't be underrated. As low as you can possibly get to avoid flying objects, because they're not just tipping and falling like they do in smaller quakes. In larger quakes, they're more like projectiles.
Wow.
مش لوحدك.